Do you ever feel like you're your own worst boss? Like you left corporate America to escape the grind, only to recreate it for yourself and maybe worse? I used to feel that way too. And over a decade in business, I have found my way out of that to catch myself when I'm making choices that I think I have to make or that my job would have dictated. And that's why I created the 6-part Better Boss method. By the end of this episode, you'll have new ideas on how to go from being a burnout solopreneur to more of a confident CEO of your own calendar. So you can work smarter, feel better, and finally enjoy all that flexibility you went out on your own to have. Let's do it. Welcome to the Establish Yourself podcast, the show that helps coaches and consultants get clear on how to talk about what you do, simplify your offers, and have more fun in your business and beyond. I'm Annie Franceschi, brand strategist, author, former Disney storyteller, and forever Muppet fan. I'm here to help you clarify your message, package your expertise, and streamline your systems to grow a business you actually enjoy. If you're ready for less confusion and more magic, it's time to establish yourself. I used to work for the Walt Disney Company, ultimate corporate America, 5 years in California, and then went out on my own as an entrepreneur. And especially in those early years, I would make the mistake of feeling like the path to success was work hard, play hard, burning the candle at both ends. Late nights, constant availability, putting clients above all else. I think this is what was modeled for me in corporate America in my job. It was even what was modeled for me growing up and seeing family members run businesses. These are things that I inherited around hustle, and I know that I'm not alone. We all follow these rules that we got from somewhere and maybe even just hold tight to ourselves. But today, let's do a gut check. How often do you feel like you don't actually call the shots in your own business? That you're at the mercy of what clients are demanding or a calendar you don't feel in control of? I want to share ways that I've learned to be a better boss to myself as a solopreneur and how you can too. Now, I know you may already be thinking, well, I'm going to be too busy for this, or I can't afford to work less. But here's what I've learned: the busier you feel, the more you might need this. And you're not working less, you're going to be working smarter. Let's work through these ideas together. Because if there's even one small shift you can make after this episode that's going to bring you more ease or joy, it'll be worth it. What I've discovered is that there are 6 key practices that help me stop being my own worst boss. I call them the Better Boss method, B.E.T.T.E.R. Each letter gives you permission to do something different. It's an empowering roadmap for designing a business that supports your life instead of dictating it. The B is build your week. My week, for example, looks like this. I have no meeting Mondays and no meeting Fridays. That gives me the freedom to work on what I want, whether that's recording this podcast, writing a book, having a lunch date with a friend or a past client. It also means that I have dedicated space every single week for deep work, creativity, or even just a day off if I need a mental health break. I used to call these batch days, and now they're essential time to move my business forward. They're a key component to how I've built a multiple 6-figure business without a big team, just a virtual assistant that I use about 10 hours a month. Now, it's very valid, and I know you may be feeling like I can't afford to block time like that. But here's something I want you to know. I actually make more money because I'm not scattered and switching between tasks all day. Like, I have made significantly more revenue and profit since adopting the mindset of building my week with intention and leaving spaces. When I protect deep work time by not having meetings every day, I get more done in 2 focused hours than I used to in a whole scattered day. This doesn't have to look the same way it looks for me. And I'm going to be teaching you that throughout today, that I want you to apply these in ways that work for your life and circumstances. I take no meeting Mondays and no meeting Fridays. I was working with my client Sandy through my Magic Strategy program, and we were taking a closer look at her week. She said, Annie, I'd love to take a whole day, but I just don't think I can swing it with my contracts, and I need to be available to clients. And what we figured out for her is that building her week wasn't about having a no meeting Monday or Friday. It was actually about 2 half days. her Monday mornings and her Friday afternoons are blocked for deep work and for handing things off to her virtual assistant. So, doing math, that actually gives her a whole batch day every single week, but it looks very different from my schedule. That's still a win and still the B, build your week. In my experience, this isn't just about blocking time, it's about how you use that time and energy, which leads me to E, embrace your energy. About a year ago, I completely reworked my calendar and my scheduling system all around my energy. Many of you know that I track my time and have learned when I am most productive at certain tasks. Mornings are when I'm best at deep strategic work. So that's when I often save time for 2-hour client sessions, marketing projects, things where I have to kind of push things forward and be at my best and my most creative. I find that afternoons, I can knock out more tactical and administrative stuff. So that's where you're going to find me doing coffee chats, 1-hour sessions, discovery calls. That's why I'm going to make that time available then. I always protect my lunch hour because I know I'm not a great thinker if I'm hungry. Who is? Right? Not only do I build my week and batch my time throughout the week, I'm also really attuned to the energy. So for you, you might be better in the afternoons, weekends, or at night. This makes me think of my client Sarah, who was in my magic strategy program. We built her week together using a lot of these strategies. She didn't want a no meeting Monday. She loved starting her week with clients. Tuesdays felt like a good opportunity for a different kind of energy. So her Tuesday is a professional development day in the morning where she does networking, and her Tuesday afternoons are for gardening and self care, doing things that light her up. And so that is a really good way of funneling her energy. My client Wendy, who went through a similar program, she and I were looking at her week and she was shifting tasks constantly. She was going from discovery calls to client work with organizations to teaching a class in person at Duke. We took a closer look at her schedule and I helped her to see how to group some of her tasks around when she was going to be on campus, when she was going to be out, and what mindset she was going to be in. That's working really so much better for her. She's much more available to people, and she's also in the right headspace when things are being asked of her. You may be feeling like, well, my clients won't understand if I'm not available whenever they want. But here's what I found. Here's what I've seen clients tell me. When you show up energized, focused, because you're working at your best times, your clients are going to get better results. And they'd rather have you at your best for 2 hours than just dragging through 8. Once you know how you work best, you can build in time for what recharges you too. The first T is take time for yourself. I had to learn a hard lesson last year. I realized I was being an absolutely terrible boss to myself. I was super burnt out because I would get up in the morning, I would help my son get to school, drop him off, I would work, 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 and do as much as I possibly could all day. At the end of the day, I would have dinner with my family, put my son to bed, and I just keep thinking that whole time through that bedtime routine, I'm going to get stuff done after he goes to bed. Well, by the time he gets to bed at 9 o'clock, my brain is mashed potatoes. And I would feel so defeated, and all I would have energy to do is just doom scroll, doom scroll, doom scroll. And this isn't good. And I realized that this was a moment where I was not showing up and being a good boss to myself. It is really hard to do that, I think, because we inherit all of these stories of hustle and we don't even realize that we hold the key to permission. And what I realized was I needed to stop expecting that I would have time for myself that was useful at the end of the day after going through all the regulation it takes to take care of a kindergartner, right? And so what I started doing was putting a date on my calendar called Time for Annie. And right now, Time for Annie is Mondays from 9 to 10 and Friday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. And that is a block that is just for me to fill up my cup where I can do whatever I want. I can go get an icy from McDonald's, I can go shopping, or I can just sit and stare into the void. Having this permission, this date with myself on the calendar reminds me that I deserve space in my own schedule. It doesn't have to be the leftovers at the end of the day, right? So I had to find that momentum. This felt selfish. I know it can sound that way. Taking time for yourself when there's so much that you need to do. But here's what I've learned. Taking care of myself hasn't been selfish. It is what has let me show up better for my clients, my family, and my business. I know that I can't pour from an empty cup. If you feel that way, it might be time to put yourself on your calendar. Which leads me to the second T, take time for magic. I'm somewhat well known for taking the entire month of December off. I call this Batch December. It started in 2016. I was overwhelmed because I had a lot of interest and no systems, and I made a very scary decision at the time to take 140 hours that December to nail down my systems, get clear on how my business ran so I could have a better year the following year. It made an enormous difference for me. I can tell you, even now in 2025, I am still running my business fundamentally from work and systems I figured out in that first batch December. It is so powerful that not only did it not destroy my business, it has brought new life, attention, and interest to my business. I have done 8 batch Decembers so far. That time has helped me outline books, write books, build systems, even launch and batch the very first episodes of this podcast, right? So having that time to make magic. I think we don't realize that when we are constantly scheduled and we aren't leaving time to work on our business, instead of always working in the business, we're missing out on magic for ourselves. I know there can be a hesitation of how can I take that much time off? And everyone says, how do you take December off? Well, the simple answer is I choose to do it. And I used to think, oh, I'm risking all these clients. Maybe I've lost a few clients or two, but I've gained so many more who respect it, who are inspired by it, who now take their versions of it. Wendy, who I shared earlier, was inspired by my batch December, and she takes a week off every quarter. So her week off every quarter amounts to a month off every year, right? To do this sort of deep thinking and creative work. The other thing that I do here in the magic realm is I've started taking myself on quarterly retreats to Walt Disney World. How is that different from Batch December? Well, Batch December tends to be open-ended time to do whatever I need to do to build the business back up, to create magic in the business or with myself. These retreats, just Monday through Wednesday, every couple months, I'll go down to Walt Disney World to get out of my routine, to go to a place that lights me up. What is your magical and happy place? Are you getting out of your home office or your regular office enough and creating opportunities for magic? I was able to create my latest lead magnet, the referral message creator, because I was inspired by what the Imagineers were doing. So, you know, privileged circumstances notwithstanding, we can't all get out to Disney, but this could look like taking the walk around the block, going to the coffee shop, a day trip somewhere that really lights you up and inspires you. Go to environments that help you think differently and more creatively, and you're going to be a better boss to yourself and be running a better business. Which leads me to the last two parts of the framework. So far, we've done B.E.T.T.E.R, and now we're to the second E, which is establish expectations. Part of having more fun and freedom is communicating clear expectations so that you are not under stress, worried about what clients think and want from you at any given hour. I made a decision many years ago to start setting office hours. So in my email signature, I say my office hours are from X to Y, and I don't answer client emails on the weekends. When I send contracts, I do a contract review. I call it the 15-minute meeting that will save your business. I go over my boundaries and my timelines and how I am most available by email and that I get back to people during my office hours during the week. I used to worry that this would make me feel inflexible or like difficult to work with. But I will tell you, having done over 100 of these contract review meetings, I hear consistently from my favorite clients, the clients that end up being the best possible fit and getting the best possible results, they love it. They go, oh, this is so smart. I love your policy. Can I use that? This is so great. They completely get it. The thing that I used to fear would turn people away is actually a great filter. It's a great way to set a standard and an expectation. You want to work with people who are inspired by your boundaries, not turned off by them. The folks that are turned off by them, they're usually going to be the ones who drain your energy. and who are ultimately going to be expensive for you to take on as clients. I often like to say here, my sanity is not for sale. Having great expectations that you can meet and that allow you to deliver great work, that's how everybody wins. And that's how you team up with the people you can actually hit home runs for. Now, bringing it all together, once you are operating from your values, it's time to own your role. And that is the R in the Better Boss method. Rewrite your role. We absorb the hustle model from our upbringing, from corporate jobs, from society. I grew up with it. I had a parent and grandparents who work 7 days a week and their life is a retail business, and they don't seem to really love what they do or have full control over their time or take time to be with family. I always got this message that working harder equated to more money, more success. But when I did those things, it was burning me out and taking me farther away from my family and my friends. I remember being on a beach retreat with some of my closest friends at New Year's, and I was stuck inside working on my portfolio. One of my friends was like, "Why aren't you coming out to go have fun with us?" Because I'm doing stuff I never have time to do. The reason I didn't have time to do it was I wasn't choosing it. I had not rewritten my role. Redefining success has helped me make more money and actually enjoy the money I make. So I always say, what good is it to make $1 million if you spend $999,000 getting there? Not only have all of these principles helped me make more money, it's helped me keep more money and enjoy more of it. If you make great money, but you can't take any time off, what good is that? Being able to be there for my son like I was this morning and to take extra time to park the car and walk him into kindergarten instead of doing the carpool, choosing that, realizing that is a smart business choice because it's a smart me choice. That's what it means to rewrite your role, to take a look at the scripts you've been following and going, is this hustle I've been doing serving me? I have hired myself. Am I treating myself as the best boss I can? You get permission to rewrite your role. That is what I wish someone had said to me at the very beginning. It took meeting other people, in particular other women who were making multiple six figures without hustling, without being everywhere, without sacrificing the things that they got into business for, to feel great about themselves, to do amazing work, to play in their zone of genius, to be fabulous partners and great parents. For me, seeing that example changed so much in me to know that better was possible. And that's like the biggest thing I want to say is when I met some of those people and I saw what they were doing and I learned from them and was able to grow my business and to try out a lot of what I'm teaching you today, it made a huge difference. And I want to be that person for you. That's why I'm doing this episode. Today's episode isn't about my zone of genius, which is helping you get clear on how to talk about what you do and offer, but it's the beating heart behind it. Running a business that doesn't require you to live on social media or to burn yourself out. I want to be the person that those people were for me. If this got you thinking or realizing that better is possible, then I want you to do it. B.E.T.T.E.R. I'm going to recap that for you in just a second, but if you loved what I had to share today, I go into more detail about Batch December, how I run this life first business, and am a better boss to myself, and how you can too, in my book, Establish Yourself. If you want to go deeper into that, I have a free chapter for you today. So be sure to check that out at greateststorycreative.com/read. Again, if you want to get some of my favorite best practices for running a business that doesn't run your life, head on over to greateststorycreative.com/read to read the first 50 pages for free. All right, let's quickly recap the Better Boss method so you can start implementing it right away. B, build your week. Design a calendar that reflects your values and protects your priorities. E, embrace your energy. Match tasks to your natural rhythms for more flow and less fatigue. T, take time for yourself. Block space just for you, unstructured, replenishing, guilt-free. T, take time for magic. Make room for creative inspiration and big picture visioning. E, establish expectations. Set boundaries and teach your clients how to work with you. Lastly, R, rewrite your role. Toss out the hustle archetype and redefine what success looks like for you. Take stock of how you are showing up. And when you think about your time and your energy, ask yourself, are these your choices or are they choices that you think you have to make? I strongly believe that you can have more freedom, fun, and flexibility if you choose it. So remember, just one small shift this week could ripple into a whole new season of how you show up as a confident CEO, not a burnout solopreneur. I'm here cheering you on. Hey, do you like surprises? The credits are about to roll, but just like a Marvel movie, stick around to the end for something I put in just for you. Thanks for listening to the Establish Yourself podcast. I'm Annie Franceschi, and if you're enjoying the show, it would mean so much to me if you follow it, leave a quick rating, or share it with a friend. And for free branding resources and more ways to work together, head to greateststorycreative.com/podcast. Now here it is, your moment of magic. Last Friday, my husband and I made time for a date. We had brunch together, and then we went to see the new Fantastic Four movie, which, yes, is absolutely fantastic. But the best part is I didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I designed my business to allow for those kinds of moments, and so can you.